Of PDPU IIC, welcome you to the first session of a two-day training program that is on executive presence that we have planned for all of you by Mr. Srinivasan Ranganathan. To tell you something about Sir, Sir works fully, aligned to the vision that was conceived by Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam of a developed India. He has chosen leadership and entrepreneurial development as a channel of contributing to the said vision. He does it through mentoring transformation across all levels of professional and personal living. Sir holds a postgraduate degree in management from IIM Bangalore and preceded by a postgraduate degree in mathematics from IIT Chennai. Contributing to the Rebuilding India vision, Sir, with his wife, Ms. Neena Krishnamurthy, lead their own NGO based out of Bangalore in the name of Inside Out Foundation. Inside Out operates with a mission to rebuild India by way of various projects, seminars, and workshops. It actively supports the government's developmental initiatives, and enabling organic living and manifesting potential of people are some of the main domains in which Inside Out is working on. Along with that, Sir is a corporate trainer. He enables leadership transformation at middle and senior management level through focused training and consulting assignments for various global organizations who are operating in India, like Microsoft, HP, Infosys, Dr. Reddy's Lab, Accenture, and many more. Sir's expertise lies in specific leadership domains, subdomains like visioning, strategic development and detailing, strategy execution, strategic decision making, innovation, etc. With this, Sir has also led full-day training programs on topics in the area of leadership and growth in huge events like TechEd, which is being organized by Microsoft every year. Sir is also a visiting professor at ISB Hyderabad and coaches very senior level executives and leaders who are a part of global leadership program conducted by ISB Hyderabad. And adding to the list, Sir also enables preschool and primary school teachers through various focused workshops to help them build leadership attributes amongst the children at a very young age. He also conducts employability workshop for students of lesser known engineering and management school, thus completing an entire 360-degree circle for his vision of rebuilding India and a developed India. Sir, it is a great pleasure for us to have you amongst us, and thank you for accepting the invitation and giving us the opportunity. I would now like to hand over the session to you, and thank you, sir, once again.
Thank you. Thank you. Wonderful to be with you all. Thanks, Trustee, for being so detailed. She asked me for a profile, and so I sent it to her. But if you look at it carefully, the entire profile focuses on the past. Is it right? Honestly, it is like medicine. It has an expiry date, right? All success and failures have expiry date, right? We can't keep sitting on the laurels of what you did 5 years back, 2 years back, or you got a first rank in LKG. Doesn't really matter. I think, as somebody said very nicely, what matters is what you do today. That's it, right? There's no present, there's no past, there's no future. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give all my energy for this 1.5 hours to you, completely focused on. As I said, since for about 3 weeks, I've not kept well on the throat front. If my throat cracks, please don't mind, right? And now, it's so nice as Dr. Kalam always used to say, invest your energy in young people. They are the future of the nation, right? And so it's so nice to see so many of you. I went through all your introductions on the Telegram channel. Anybody asking me which channel? I hope all of you know about the Telegram channel, right? Okay. Went through all the videos, wonderful introductions, and also very, very powerful questions raised by you. Those questions will get addressed not in this session, some in this session, some in the next session, right? But I have made a note of all the questions. And whatever questions you may have this week after this session, before the next session, also will get addressed. Right? So be sure about that. In the last 25 years of teaching and training and coaching, I realized a very important truth that you can't teach anyone anything. Seriously, you just can't teach anyone anything. All you can do is raise some questions, some thoughts in the minds of people, and the perspectives that emerge in their own minds will help them evolve. That's it, which is what I'm going to do. So I'll give you enough opportunities to raise your questions, and I will also raise some questions. Those questions are intended not to provoke you, not to embarrass you, but those questions are intended to make you think. That's it. Right? So you don't need to answer me, or you're not accountable to anything else in this world other than yourself. Okay. A couple of small ground rules. One, I have a tendency to speak very fast. My mother tongue is Tamil, and we speak 400 words per minute. Right. So if you find me speaking pretty fast, stop me and say, "Ranga, slow down." So I'll slow down. Okay. If you find something that I said not very clear, stop me and tell me, please repeat, and I'll definitely repeat it. Okay. You are most welcome to unmute yourself and interrupt. Seriously, I really mean this. You are welcome to unmute yourself and interrupt me. Participate actively in the session, because only when you participate actively will you take back something out of it. Is that okay? Otherwise, your video is on, your audio is on, but I have no way of finding out whether your mind is on with me. Right? So that's why I envy some of you. You know, you have a choice. I don't have a choice. I have to have my mind there completely. Right? So please have your mind completely with me, and then we will take it further. I'll just share a presentation. The presentation is more a trigger for some thoughts. I hope you're aware of the topic that we are going to discuss. Right? All of you are aware of the topic we are going to discuss. Can some of you unmute and share what did you understand by the topic? Anybody can start. Just a couple of you. What's the topic we're going to discuss today or next session?
I thought it is qualities of a leader. I thought that.
Okay, qualities of a leader. Okay. Anyone else?
Sir, it's about, you know, how each and every individual of an organization is a face of that organization, irrespective of, you know, what level you belong. How at your level, how each one of you individually plays a very important role in selling or in convincing the customers for your business, or, you know, at least initiating the conversation.
Okay. Anyone else?
Developing leadership mindset.
Leadership mindset. Okay.
Understanding how leadership plays an important role in growth of a early stage company.
How leadership plays an important role. Beautiful. I just make a note. Anybody else? Okay. The topic, the entire intervention that I'm having with you is connected to leadership. So definitely, I think you're all on the track. Today and in the next session, in addition to some of the concepts of leadership, I'm going to touch upon a very important topic called executive presence. A request to Trustee, you can also maybe circulate to them later the small bullets that I had circulated on the document, right? maybe they can also be aware of what is it that you will discuss. Now, what is this executive presence all about? How many of you have experienced that you meet somebody, okay, on stage, and within the first 2 minutes, you get hooked and you want to listen to that person a lot more, and you either feel like absorbing the inputs given, or you feel like rejecting the inputs given, or you get a little indifferent to the whole thing. Have you experienced? Have you met such people? Right? When you go for a customer meeting, you get some signals, like the customer side senior executive is willing to meet you, or they're willing to give you informal time. After the meeting, they take you out for lunch, or they come with you to the elevator and see you off, or they share their personal details with you. They go beyond the boundary of professional connection and they share their personal details with you. You call them at very odd hour, like 9 o'clock in the night, they pick up the call. Right? I mean, these are very small signals that kind of tell us that there is some kind of a connect which the customers seem to have with us. When I say customer, I mean internal and external. It's all stakeholders in a partner. Right? Is it just spoken words? Is it, what is it? I mean, what is that aura that we are actually talking about? Amitabh Bachchan carries an aura around it. Right? Yeah. And Mother Teresa also carried aura around her, though they are completely different actually. Nelson Mandela carried an aura around it. So what is this executive presence? Because many times in today's fast-paced world, you don't have too much time to impress somebody very deeply. Okay, that's why I restricted your video to less than 1 minute. Because if you can't impress somebody through a video in less than 1 minute in today's digital social media world, you cannot impress, period. Most people, children, you watch children. Most people don't watch a video which is more than 2 minutes. They don't. They don't have a patience. I've seen very less people sitting for a TED talk and listening to it fully. They see a TED talk over 10 times visit. Okay. Right. So what is this executive presence all about? I think that is the focus of today's topic. And I'll be sharing a small presentation. Can you all see my screen? A couple of you may just see.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Executive presence, digital session 1. Small request, please don't call me sir, call me Ranga. I'll feel more comfortable. Right. Age is not the issue, right? I think what we're talking about is we're just trying to connect in this entire initiative. We're just trying to connect as equals, right? So the only advantage I have is I was born a little earlier to you guys. That's it. Otherwise, I think let's connect as equals and discuss this. I'm going to show you a small video. Without any preempting, without any prelude, I want you to see this video. And I'm hoping that audio and video will get transmitted neatly. I will pause after the first 10-15 seconds, and some of you can say whether audio and video are coming clearly. Then we can proceed. Right?
What's your name?
Darcy Oak.
Darcy. Where are you from?
Is the
from
audio
Canada.
and video both getting transmitted, please?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Oh, that's brilliant. Thanks a lot.
Are you living in the UK or?
I'm not. No, I came here just for this. So
How old are you, Darcy?
I'm 26.
And what got you into the act that you're doing today?
When I was a kid, actually, I had hopes and dreams of becoming a doctor, but my parents insisted that I become a magician. So here I am. My name is Darcy Oak. I'm 26 and I specialize in sleight of hand and illusions. I've loved magic for forever. When I was a kid, my dad was messing around with cards. I picked one, he pulled it out, and it was my card. I experienced that feeling of like, how did you do that? And I wanted to do that to other people.
Now, say the magic words.
Abracadabra.
Thank you.
I'm auditioning for Britain's Got Talent because it's the biggest talent show in the world, and I want to be performing on a global scale. And I feel that if it goes well, it can change my life. I'm going to go out on that stage and I'm going to do what I've practiced my whole life, and hopefully they like it.
All right, wish you the best of luck.
Thank you very much.
How's he doing this? What? Shut up, man!
Okay, I'm going to stop the share here and get back to grid mode. Can we go on to grid mode? Okay. Just feel free to share first in one word what you feel, and second, some learnings that you took from this in the context of leadership and presence that we're talking about. Anybody, quick, more number of people, the better. Quick sharing. What is the first feeling that you have?
Lots of hard work. Lots of hard work.
Prakash, right? Lots of hard work. Yes, okay, first.
Years of practicing.
Brilliant. Years of practicing. So you're all seeing behind what you saw. Okay.
Nothing is impossible.
Nothing is impossible. Okay, right. Anything else?
You need so he basically you can do anything. It's like you are capable of doing anything.
Okay. Basically, we are capable of doing anything. Okay, that's a positive message. Anybody would like to share something on what connection you saw to leadership, what connection you saw to your presence on stage?
He kept everyone captivated with his skills. Everybody was mesmerized, and all the eyes were on him throughout. What he was doing, how, from where he was taking out things and everything. So he had everyone's attention on him at all times.
Beautiful, fantastic observation, Charlie. Hooking the people's mind completely to him. Is that right? I don't think anybody would have thought of WhatsApp. Right. I think there was no time to get distracted because you're completely hooked on, right? So I think that's a very beautiful observation. We'll come back to that. Anybody else?
I just concur what she said. So it was an awesome act. And
Yeah.
another thing was excellent anticipation. So he wanted to have utilized 120 seconds what would have been given to him.
Yes.
Just keeping them deeply engaged. So his presence on the screen was so mesmerizing that, as you rightly said, even during this time we cannot think of anything else. We just have to see that even maybe it may be old ones. Even after these many years, it looks seriously appealing.
Exactly. There is a great anticipation and planning as to how he's going to utilize that every minute of that 120, I mean, every second of that 120 seconds, right, that he has in front, right? And it is not about just attracting people, it's about keeping them engaged. Excellent point, Abhinav. Anybody else, please? Feel free, guys, just go ahead and share.
Show, even when you have all the attention, you only show people that you want them to see. Eventually it was magic and it was illusion. We could only see what he wanted us to show and not the tricks that he was hiding behind.
Beautiful point, Bhumika. It's not about showing what you know, it is about showing what they need to see. Is that right? I think it's a very beautiful point. Let me take this training session itself. Should I focus on telling you guys what I know, or should I focus on telling you guys what you need to know for your role? Right. And I've lived in this world for 50 plus years, and I know a lot of things. If I don't say all those things to you, I think you'll just run away from you. Right? And in your life, you may not want to meet anybody by name Ranga, leave alone me. Right. So I think the focus is on the audience. The focus is on what they need to know. Focus is not on you. When you go to a customer site, when you executive presence is all about, when you go to a customer site, do you know the top 3 concerns he is having in the back of his mind? Or we are so much focused on talking about our product to the customer. Right. We talk about features of our product, but whereas the customer is not interested in the features, customer is having some pain points in the mind. He is occupied with his pains. Are we able to know that? I think that's a very beautiful point, Bhumika. Thanks for bringing this up. Anybody else? Let's go ahead and share, guys. There's nothing like a right wrong here.
I believe self-confidence.
Sorry? Who's this? Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, I was just sharing Sachi here. Yeah, sir, I was just saying that self-confidence can be one of the things.
Beautiful. Yes. What about the apprehensions others may have on us? Are we confident? I think that's a very, very important thing, right? Self-confidence is showing. Right?
I really like that he started with grabbing the attention of people by cracking a very interesting joke, which was his real life scenario also, that he wanted his father, and then he kept it. So the important thing is that you need to grab the attention of people when you start and then keep it with you. First part was very difficult. Yeah.
In fact, one of the this end of this session, I'll be giving you some exercises which you will do during this 1 week, right? I mean, exercise is not like going to a gym or something like that. It's something different. So you will practice a few things before coming to the next class. One of the key things is how to get the attention, how to grab the attention of people and hold it with you. Right? Anai, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyone else? Okay.
So,
yeah.
Identifying the stage where you can make more impact.
Excellent. You grab the attention, Deep Patel, right? Okay. You grab the attention, you hold it, and identify the correct points when you can increase the impact hugely. Is that right? So basically, you're taking their intense engagement, you're taking it to higher levels of intensity. Is that right? That's it. And then they're completely.
So one more interesting thing about magic happens to be there is always the prestige. I mean, he ended with on a super high. I mean, he just you have to grab the attention, you have to keep the attention, then kick it off at the end. And kicking it off at the end is so important because that's the lasting impression that keeps people's mind, gives people's mental real estate for you. So he kicked it at the end. So that's
win the World Cup with a 6, right? Amazing, no? That's what Dhoni did. He won the World Cup with the six. So I think very, very powerfully put. I think you guys have brought about the very key aspects beautifully, right? Wonderful.
And maybe
a couple of factors to look at here is not what he did explicitly. Can you go into his mind? I think it's important to go into the mind of the guy. Why did he come to Britain's Got Talent? Why? He says that.
Because he enjoyed what he was doing.
Exactly what I was telling. Identifying the stage.
Identifying the stage, yes.
The stage where he can make most impact, so that his life can change.
Beautiful. Hold on to those words. I think they're very powerful words, Deep Pachin. You're called as Patel or Deep? Deep.
Deep is fine.
Okay. Am I pronouncing your name correctly?
Yes, sir. Deep, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So it's about identifying a platform where you can make an impact, and second, the life can change. Is that right? I think. Is there also a risk in going to a global platform like this? Is there a big risk?
Big risk.
What if you fail?
Yeah, exactly.
And the impact of the failure is also much higher now, right? As compared to failing in a coffee club, or where you do a coffee table magic, right? I mean, you go to a coffee table randomly and then do some magic, and there you fail, it's okay. So there's a very beautiful leadership message here. Leadership is all about taking those risks. Is that right? And second, in today's world, if you don't perform on a global scale, you actually have a survival issue. You have to start thinking on a global scale. You have to start thinking on a much, much bigger scale. Yeah, people will advise you, start small, take one step at a time, take baby steps. All the suggestions are fine. But what is your level of ambition? What is your level of aspiration? Somebody asked, this is a very real life instance actually. Somebody asked Ratan Tata, how long would it take for you to buy BMW when he was young? How long would it take for you to buy a BMW? He said around 10 years. So somebody asked him, why that long? He said, it's a big company to buy. Now, what is your level of thinking? Here somebody is asking you about buying a car and he is actually thinking about buying the company. Right? I think it's inside the head hidden. What is your level of aspiration? What is your level of ambition? We all can operate only with two mindsets. One is survival mindset, another is growth mindset. Survival mindset is, I have become an entrepreneur. How can I manage my business? How can I manage my cash flow so that I get 5% more profit than last year, so that I end up paying the salaries of my people? All these thoughts which are running inside the head reflect the survival mindset. In fact, I remember doing a keynote session for a sales conference where the CEO said, sir, we are thinking about doubling our target from last year and salespeople are not very confident. Okay. So I said, what is your turnover? He said $10 million. I said, so 10 million to 20 million and your sales guys are not confident. I said, okay. Then I just turned around and asked the same sales guys one important question. What is the market size? They said market size is $5 billion. I said, fantastic. What's the percentage of the market share that you want to have? They said 10%. You know what they are committing to now? 10 to 20 million they objected. Now they are committed to 500 million. Because you've changed their perspective. You've changed how they look at things. Right? So what is the level of ambition? I mean, no offense meant, but look at the government's mindset. For example, Kashmir dispute. I don't think it can be sorted out. I think we have to make sure that we maintain it at a level where it can be managed. This is one mindset. Another mindset is, no, I'm going to crack it and finish it off. Right? Everything starts with mindset. So what is the mindset? I think the mindset of this guy is, I don't want to perform on a low scale. I want to perform on a global scale. Right? So I want you to first understand, this session, leadership is all about what is the level of thinking. How big are you thinking? Execution comes later. Our mind gets into that realistic mode, I don't think so big here, you're greedy. I'll ask you a simple question. I'm not answering it in this session. I'll answer it in the next session. Please think about it. What's the difference between ambition and greed? When does ambition become greed? Think about it. So let me go back, share the presentation. Oh, sorry. Can you see this?
Yeah, the screen is shared now, Ranga.
Now there you have Bush and Clinton. Okay. And there's a debate with a group of people. I am not going to tell you anything. I want you to watch the video. As usual, we'll discuss it and we will pull out our own learnings out of it. But I want you to notice everything, small things like words, body language, what's happening. I want you to observe deeply. Right?
We have a question right here.
Yes, how has the national debt personally affected each of your lives? And if it hasn't, how can you honestly find a cure for the economic problems of the common people if you have no experience in what's ailing them?
Well, I think the national debt affects everybody. Obviously, it has a lot to do with interest rates. It has.
She's saying you personally.
On a personal basis, how has it affected you?
Has it affected you personally?
Well, I'm sure it has. I love my grandchildren. I want to think that think that they're going to be able to afford an education. I think that that's an important part of being a parent. Maybe I won't get it wrong. Are you suggesting that if somebody has means, that the national debt doesn't affect them?
Well, what I'm saying,
I'm not sure I get it. Help me with the question and I'll try to answer it.
I've had friends that have been laid off from jobs.
Yeah.
I know people who cannot afford to pay the mortgage on their homes, their car payment. I have personal problems with the national debt. But how has it affected you? And if you have no experience in it, how can you help us if you don't know what we're feeling?
I think she means more the recession, the economic problems today the country faces, rather than the deficit.
You ought to be in the White House for a day and hear what I hear and see what I see and read the mail I read and touch the people that I touch from time to time. I was in the Lomax AME church. It's a black church just outside of Washington, D.C. And I read in the bulletin about teenage pregnancies, about the difficulty that families are having to make ends meet. I talked to parents. I mean, you got to care. Everybody cares if people aren't doing well. But I don't think it's fair to say you haven't had cancer, therefore you don't know what it's like. I don't think it's fair to say, whatever it is, if you haven't been hit by it personally, but everybody's affected by the debt. Because of the tremendous interest that goes into paying on that debt, everything's more expensive. Everything comes out of your pocket and my pocket. So it's that. But I think in terms of the recession, of course you feel it when you're president of the United States. And that's why I'm trying to do something about it by stimulating the export, investing more, better education systems. Thank you. I'm glad to clarify.
Tell me how it's affected you again.
We have a question right here.
Yes, how has the national
Washington, D.C. And I read in the bulletin about teenage pregnancies, about the difficulty. I mean, you got to care. Everybody cares if people aren't doing well. But I don't think it's fair to say you haven't had cancer, therefore you don't know what it's like. I don't think it's fair to say, whatever it is, that if you haven't been hit by it personally, but everybody's affected by the debt. Because of the tremendous interest that goes into paying on that debt, everything's more expensive. Everything comes out of your pocket and my pocket. So it's that. But I think in terms of the recession, of course you feel it when you're president of the United States. And that's why I'm trying to do something about it by stimulating the export, investing more, better education systems. Thank you. I'm glad to clarify.
Tell me how it's affected you again. You know people who lost their jobs and lost their homes? Well, I've been governor of a small state for 12 years. I'll tell you how it's affected me. Every year, Congress and the President sign laws that make us do more things and gives us less money to do it with. I see people in my state, middle-class people, their taxes have gone up in Washington and their services have gone down, while the wealthy have gotten tax cuts. I have seen what's happened in this last 4 years when, in my state, when people lose their jobs, there's a good chance I'll know them by their names. When a factory closes, I know the people who ran it. When the businesses go bankrupt, I know them. And I've been out here for 13 months, meeting in meetings just like this, ever since October, with people like you all over America. People that have lost their jobs, lost their livelihood, lost their health insurance. What I want you to understand is the national debt is not the only cause of that. It is because America has not invested in its people. It is because we have not grown. It is because we've had 12 years of trickle-down economics. We've gone from 1st to 12th in the world in wages. We've had 4 years where we produced no private sector jobs. Most people are working harder for less money than they were making 10 years ago. It is because we are in the grip of a failed economic theory. And this decision you're about to make better be about what kind of economic theory you want. Not just people saying, I'm going to go fix it, but what are we going to do? What I think we have to do is invest in American jobs, American education, control American health care costs, and bring the American people together again.
I have a very simple question to you. You have just watched two people talk. Yeah, of course, they spoke in typical American accents and no. If you were to vote for one of them, who would you vote for and why? Based on this alone.
I would go with the second person. I think that he was addressing the need, what exactly the person was saying, he was addressing it. So yes, I'll go with the confidence of that person. And the first person was not, he did not have the answers that clearly in his mind. I felt so.
Right. So let's make here. So most did not address the concerns, whereas second person was more confident and addressed the concerns. So you will vote for Clinton. Okay.
He was addressing the need very clearly.
Right, Shipra. Anybody else?
Sir, I would go with the second candidate because see, at the last he also said almost the same solutions, but he was more connected to doing it for the American people. He was connecting with her on a personal level by like whatever problems she said. So he was trying to convey to her that I have seen this, I have met people like this, I know people like you. So he was trying to connect with her on a personal basis. He had a sense of compassion for her, and he was connecting more to the American people, like personal to her.
Anisha, right? Excellent. I think wonderful points in terms of connecting with people, and not only her, connecting with all the Americans, right? So very beautifully described. Anybody else, please?
I would say because you asked us to specifically see the behavior.
Yes.
So when the first slide starts, when the girl was asking a question, Bush was looking into his watch initially. So that gives a very negative feeling when you are coming to an audience, when the address is going on, someone is asking question, but you're not bothered to answer that. And that's why he has to repetitively ask, what is the question?
Correct.
Because actually at that point of time, he was not giving this due importance where he was.
Beautiful. Absolutely.
That's the first thing. And the way Bill Clinton started answering, because he was an amazing communicator, the first he tried to go close to the candidate, getting deep sense that okay, I'm with you, I'm trying to understand you better, and that gave that girl a confidence, because he then also portrayed, because at the end, because last message, he also explained that this is not only one problem, we are struggling with lot of other things. So that gives a girl a sense of understanding, okay, this man knows this, but he knows other part of the stories also, which can really help us. So I think that initial reaction from both the sides when they took question, it was on a very different footing. So that was the things that I noted.
Beautiful. In fact, Bush was turned somewhere else when he was talking, right?
Yeah.
Whereas Clinton came close, the second candidate came closer to the girl and looking into the eyes of the girl and talking. So it was a very personal connect that was established, right? Any other such beautiful observation, Abhinav? Thank you. Very, very subtle. Anybody else?
Sir, he actually tried to empathize the mass as a whole. It was, though the second candidate, so Bill Clinton, he was just addressing to one person, but he also considered that, he tried to comfort from an overall scenario, just like Abhinav sir said. And there was a sense of personal connect also established, and just not, being vague with the answer that I do this also, I do this also, I have this also being addressed. But, he talked more about her situation, her scenario. He empathized it personally and gave a solution. So he gave a solution that, if they do, if this all is taken care of, this is where America is going to be, or this is where I can take.
Beautiful. Very, very nicely explained. I just want you to think about this. Connect with people. Does it happen at intellectual level or at emotional level?
I think it first happens at an emotional level and then eventually at the intellectual level.
Right. Ideally, the connect should be at both the levels. Am I right? If it is purely at an intellectual level, then you are just like a news article. You are like a blog, right? So, but if it's purely at an emotional level, not solving the actual problem, also there is an issue. Now, second question I have: do people connect with others at a conscious level or at a subconscious level also? Where they themselves are not aware that they are connected with, but they're connected.
The person first connects at a subconscious level before connecting at a conscious level, because once the mind accepts that I want to listen to this person, that's when you actually start listening to that person and connecting with that person.
Yes,
so in example of Bill Clinton, when Bill Clinton went close to the candidate, like the audience, that's when he built a subconscious connection with the larger mass. And when he started giving his response to the question, that's when the audience was consciously connected to him to understand what he has to say.
Beautiful. Excellent. So which means we have talked about two important things here, right? I'm just using these videos as tools, okay? Don't get too hooked to the videos. In fact, I'll be showing you possibly clippings from some movies. So idea is not to get hooked to the movies or clippings. I'm using them as a trigger to discuss certain concepts with you. One is when you talk about presence, when you talk about engagement, when you talk about connect, it has to be both emotional and at intellectual level. Second, it has to be both at conscious and subconscious level. Is it okay? I think that's a message. Don't lose the message. Right? And preferably, which one to start with? Maybe we need to start with some subconscious level connection, deeper connection, and then we can bring it down to a conscious level connection.
Ranga, can you just explain this part a bit detail about conscious and subconscious connect, please?
Yes, that's exactly where I'm moving forward. In the session, I'll explain that a little more in detail. That's fine. Okay, I'll possibly give you an example of a subconscious connection. Maybe explain that a little more in detail in the second session next week. If you observe closely, Abhinav, most of us are either visual people or auditory people or kinesthetic people. Of the three words I've used here. Visual people is people who grasp information and who connect by what they see. Auditory people are people who grasp information and connect deeply by what they hear. Kinesthetic people are people who connect based on what they feel. Now, each of us in this room belong to one or a little combination of these three. And it will be very evident if you observe people, what kind of words they use. Okay. People subconsciously will use words which are either visual or auditory. Right? For example, I just now made a statement. When you observe them, observe is a visual word. Right? When people ask you, do you see my point? How can you see the point? Right? I mean, when you say, you see my point. See my point is it's a visual word, right? Or some people might say, is the message loud and clear? Or some people might say it's a very solid proposal. Or somebody, if you send a proposal, they say, hey, when I read your proposal, I felt really good, man. Feeling there. What is it to feel good about a proposal? I mean, it's a proposal, right? Unless it's a marriage proposal. I mean, then you can feel good or bad about it. But I'm saying, see, I think when you say connect with people, I've seen some people who are very smart. They will observe for a few minutes what kind of words the other person uses. Okay, they will start replicating similar words. You know what will happen? Research has shown that at a very subconscious level, they feel very deeply connected. For example, if somebody is going through stress and you can find it out on the face, you're going to solve the problem. But remember, if you give an intellectual solution at that stage, if their stress levels are not down, they will not process that information. Is that right? So spending a little time connecting with them at the stress level, simply going here and just touching them is enough. Once you connect at that level, then you can connect at a conscious level. Is it okay, Abhinav? I'll maybe explain this in a lot more detail in the second session.
Yeah, well understood.
Right. So I will continue to share the screen.
We have a question right here.
Now, let me formally share with you what I feel presence is. If you notice, I just said what I feel. I didn't say what I think. Right? And I'm just drawing your attention to a few things. Presence is that invisible, inaudible energy that one radiates. When you go to a customer location or when you go to a boss's room, within 2 minutes, you start feeling whether you're welcome or you're not welcome there. And the person has not even opened the mouth, they've not said anything. Or the person might explicitly say, I welcome you, but you feel that actually he didn't mean it. Right? Some people apologize like this. I'm sorry, okay. I'm sorry, okay. Now, do you think there is an apology here? So somewhere, I think human beings, we are very sensitive and we know at the deepest of our heart whether a person means it or does not mean it. It is that energy which is invisible, which is inaudible, that one radiates. And that is what we call presence. Now, can we really learn presence as a skill? Of course, yes. That's why we are spending this time, right? It can be learned. It can be learned, practiced, and it can be got. Okay. Before I talk about what presence is, Let me talk about what presence is not. That means there are a lot of myths about presence. I want you to eliminate all this from your mind. So I'll talk about presence one by one. Many people think presence means charisma. What is charisma? The way you look, your height, your weight, the handsomeness, the beauty, the fair skin, your hair. Sorry, it's a myth. Presence has nothing to do with charisma. Yes, there are people who have charisma. Somebody tried saying something?
Sir, I would like to ask that what is the difference between presence and an instinct? Like we have this instinct where you mentioned that when we enter a room, we know that are we welcome over there or not. So I've heard somewhere in a podcast that this is the same feeling as our instinct. So is the same thing presence and instinct, or there is a slight difference between them?
Beautiful, Dinesh. Dinesh, right?
Yes, sir.
How do you pronounce your name?
Danish, sir. Danish.
Right. Instinct is what you have. Presence is what they radiate. Is it right?
Okay.
Right. Now, the right presence will trigger the correct instinct in you. Right?
Yes, sir.
So that's the connect. So charisma means presence. You know, charisma. Tell me, Amitabh Bachchan has a charisma. Definitely is. Okay. Did Rajiv Gandhi have a charisma? Not Rahul, please. Rajiv Gandhi. Yeah, he had a charisma. Right? Okay. Some people have very deep voice. So when they come and start to talk itself, you feel, wow, what a voice is that. So Mother Teresa, no charisma. Nelson Mandela, no charisma. Narayan Murthy, Infosys, no charisma. So presence is not just charisma, okay, please. And not all of us are having a hardware like a tall, handsome, good looking, fair. No. In fact, there is a leader in Africa, very dark leader. But the kind of presence he has is amazing. For example, if you go back to the debate video, the girl who asked the question was a black, is it right? And George Bush, when he talked about a church and said, that's a black church. Isn't it horrible? You think she will be connected or she'll be disconnected from there? Right. So what can we say, what we cannot say at a point? And what feelings will it trigger in the other person? So charisma is not presence alone. Second, many people think if I'm very emotional, I have a great presence. No. In fact, sometimes when people are very emotional, you want to get away from them. And you say it's very emotional here. Dealing mushkil hai. So there's no point. Third, some people think if they are very pushy, they have a lot of presence. They keep on persuading, they keep on pushing you hard. They make some positive statements like, you can do it, come on, you can do it. And within 5 minutes, they'll come to your desk and say, you can do it. And then they'll send you a message saying, you can. Then they'll call up and tell you, you can. And then you quit the organization because you can quit anyway. Right? So I think being pushy does not necessarily mean you have presence. Some people think if I keep on saying yes to the other person, they like me. Alignment, that is also not present. Some people don't work on reality, they work on perception. They create a lot of perception, but reality is different. They try to project that they are very highly charitable, but they are not. They don't spend even 1 rupee on charity. But they create a perception. Similarly, they say they create a perception that they're very social people, but they're actually not. No, that's not again presence. Some people think radiating power is presence. Oh my God, I've seen people who radiate power now. They don't allow others to talk. They interrupt them. And then they say, I know what I'm talking about. They say, I've spent donkey's years in this land. And the other person is thinking, you're a donkey, that much I know, but I didn't know about the years. Right? I mean, people really radiate power. No, that's not presence. In fact, many times humility creates a higher presence than power. So these are just some points of what presence is not. Then we will now go to what presence is. Okay. How do you create a huge presence for yourself? Gopika, you have a question? Your hand is up.
Yes, sir. I have this doubt that when we talk of presence, do we also tend to associate someone's presence with the position they hold in an organization or with the work that they've done? Something like that.
Beautiful. Just hold on for 5 to 7 minutes, okay? I want to talk about something called credibility, where I want to talk about what is the role of position and what is the role of their achievement in presence. Is it okay? Bhumika? It's coming in today's session itself. Is it fine? I'm glad you're a little ahead. Very, very happy to see this. Okay. Now, how do I build, or anybody else has any other questions at this time? Or can I proceed?
Sir, there is this one question that I have. Can we offend someone with our presence? So in a way, if there is someone who is higher to us or a superior to us present in the room, and we at times make our presence feel in that room. Now, can that create an offensive sense in their mind for us if we are in an organization?
Beautiful, wonderful question. When a junior person has a lot of presence, will it create trouble for that person? Actually, answer is yes, it might. It depends on the insecurity of the senior person. Is it fine? Some of you have raised this question in the Telegram group, and I intend giving you a very detailed answer to this. But a quick answer to your question is yes, it can. When a junior person has a lot of presence and a senior person particularly does not have a presence, the senior person may use the power of position to see if some trouble can be created to the junior guy. It can happen. But how do I counter this? We'll have to wait for some techniques to be discussed in the next session. Is that fine? But your question is very valid. Answer is yes, it can. Right? So how do I build my presence? Binding glue, 4 stages. Stage 1. This is the stage that many people don't focus on. The stage called creating comfort. I want you to actually go back and introspect. Are people comfortable in my presence? Have we really evaluated that? For example, subordinates, I'm consciously using the word subordinate. They keep coming to the manager's room often. And they say, good morning, sir, good evening, sir, all that they say. They are visiting him often, yes, but are they comfortable in his presence? Does the manager know about it? For example, the moment somebody comes, I ask a very tough question. Is the person comfortable? Like when George Bush said it's a black church, he made the girl feel very uncomfortable. In India, maybe in South India is where I have seen this pattern. When a guest goes to another guy's house, and if there's a little girl or boy there, say third standard or second standard, boy or girl, the general conversation with the child is 3 or 4 questions. First question, what's your name? Second question, which school you go to? Third question, which class you are in? And there's a pattern that's repeated. Are you studying well? I mean, you've possibly made the person very uncomfortable. And the person wants to just leave you as quickly as possible. So, first stage in the presence is make the person comfortable in your presence. A couple of things. One is you don't need to say anything. You don't need to ask anything. Just a deep eye contact and a smile and a welcome is enough to make the person feel comfortable. I've seen in counseling session, it's very sad actually. A person came for a counseling session. The person was very deeply affected by something. And this person is, as soon as the person came in, he sat crossed legs, right, and told the person, okay, tell me, what's your problem? And the person said, I have no problem. And left. Tough question to ask. Is my spouse comfortable with me? Even today, I'm not talking about when we got married. I'm saying even today, is my spouse really comfortable in my presence? Are my children comfortable in my presence? Are they around, hanging around because I have a credit card and I can pay things and I can buy things for them? So first step is creating comfort. Second step is slightly more deeper connective.
Ranga, I may stop you on this point. Just one question that I have about creating comfort, because we talk about how are we creating comfort with people who are peers or subordinates, but how we should give it for one level above, superiors.
Okay, you are asking, please correct me if I'm wrong. You're asking, how do I create comfort with people who are above me?
Exactly. So say for example, if this is about presence, so I have to go and make a presentation as an innovator to a committee. So how I can create that comfort first?
Okay, beautiful. There are some techniques. I can pass on a video to you where I have explained that in detail. Is that fine? In terms of how do you create comfort with different levels of people, right? I mean, there's a video I've done where I have explained it. I can send that to you. I can give you some quick inputs. I think whether it is senior people or junior people, some principles remain the same. Right? Many people think I create comfort by talking, not necessary. First, comfort has to be created at a subconscious level. Body language plays an extremely important role in this. Second, tone. The tone with which we talk plays an extremely important role. So, choice of words. For example, if you are talking to a CEO, the words that the CEO will love to hear is goals, success, results, return on investment. These are the words that make the person feel very comfortable. Whereas when you go to a project manager, the words that make him feel comfortable are schedule, right? Productivity, efficiency. So I think what is the first few words you speak will determine whether the person is going to be comfortable or not. So it's about initial body language, the tone, the initial set of words. Those will determine comfort. I'll give you an example. Dhirubhai Ambani possibly doesn't have a formal management qualification, who built the greatest empire. He had Gandhi. And suddenly one day Indira Gandhi is shot dead. Now here comes Rajiv Gandhi, whom this gentleman doesn't know. So he's trying to establish a connect with Rajiv Gandhi. So one common contact said, Rajiv Gandhi is traveling on an international tour. So before he gets into his car to go to the airport, I can create a slot of 2 minutes where you can meet him. So Dhirubhai says, yes, this is a live instance, what I'm giving. So Dhirubhai is waiting outside Rajiv Gandhi's house in front of the car. And Rajiv Gandhi comes out. He's about to enter the car. And the common contact says, Rajiv ji, ye hai Dhirubhai ji, aapse baat karna hai. Now he has 1 minute time. What does he do? Open his laptop and make a Microsoft presentation. Windows will take 10 minutes to boot. So what did Dhirubhai say? Dhirubhai first, he used that 1 minute beautifully. The first statement he said was, he put his hands together to Rajiv Gandhi and said, "Bahut bahut shukriya ji." Okay, "Bahut bahut shukriya ji." When somebody thank you like this, what happens to you? What happens to your feelings? Do you feel angry? Do you feel upset? Or do you feel you should listen to that person? So that's the comfort part. So Rajiv Gandhi said, "Haan, boliye ji." Then Dhirubhai said, "Thanks to your mother, I have 600 crores. Now this statement can mean a lot of things. So thanks to your mother. What is the thanks to your mother? That connect. This gentleman has just lost his mother. Thanks to your mother. He didn't say thanks to Indiraji. He said, thanks to your mother, I have 600 crores. Curiosity. And Rajiv Ji is saying, okay, please tell me how I should spend that money for building the nation with you, is what he said. He said, please tell me how I should spend the money to build this country with you. One minute, that's it. What established calm demeanor, folded heads, an older person to Rajiv Gandhi, saying, "Bahut bahut shukriya. Shukriya for giving me this 1 minute." I can give you tons of examples, but examples are not the idea. Idea is, please understand the concept so that you can apply it correctly. Is that fine? What might work for one person may not work for another person. What works in one context may not work in another context. What works with an Indian may not work with an American. Why? What works with a North Indian will not work with a South Indian. If you are raising funds for your entrepreneurship company, and if in the angel investors there is a South Indian, you have to connect with the person very differently. If there's a person from Punjab, you have to connect with that person very differently. So I want you to understand the concept very correctly. Is it fine? So that you can apply it rightly.
Yes.
Second thing is building rapport. Rapport is not just comfortable. I like you, you like me. That is rapport. I want to spend more time with you. That is rapport. But rapport without comfort It's tough actually. Comfort is taken for granted when you have good rapport with somebody. And there are techniques for building rapport. For example, alignment causes rapport. Like I ask somebody, where are you from? And the person says, I am from Kerala. And I tell him, I am from Karnataka. Now, this doesn't create much of rapport because this causes two different things. Like you are from Kerala, I am from Karnataka. But instead of saying I am from Karnataka, suppose I say, oh, you are from Kerala, I am also from the south. Now, I have found a common point, and the common point is where the rapport can be built. So, can you identify common points? So, building rapport is about creating like. You have to like the person. Third, earning respect. If you look at it, they're all deeper energies. Comfort is a very weak energy, but it's important. Rapport is a slightly stronger energy, important. But earning respect is a very deep energy. And respect comes from competence. Earlier question, right? One girl had asked this question. In a sense, can I create it out of competence and results? Yes, competence and results will generate respect. And you have to observe a little closely. The higher the respect, the lesser the comfort. Automatically, comfort also will come down. So if you meet somebody whom you respect a lot, you may not feel very comfortable with that person. So the other person has to go out of the way to create comfort, right? By default, the person may feel very uncomfortable because he's a great guy. I could feel that when I met Dr. Kalam for the first time. So many PhD degrees to his credit and launches and such a credible person. I felt I was not comfortable when I met him. But within 1 minute, he made me feel comfortable. That's it. He made me feel that he is my equal. That's it. Then dialogues could flow. Earning respect. And the last, deepest energy is invoking trust. For example, I know of an entrepreneur who went to sell a product to his client. He started asking the client his needs. And then at the end of it, he said, after understanding your needs, I don't think my product will fit your needs. I have a different product to suggest. And he suggested a different person. But what he has won from the customer is he's won the customer's trust. Is that right? The example that Abhinav shared at the beginning. When my father came to my room and gave an ashtray and said, ask your friends to use it. He demonstrated trust and won the trust. So I want you to understand this very well. The process remains the same. Comfort, rapport, respect, trust. That process remains the same. But what causes comfort to one culture may not cause comfort to another culture. Like starting a presentation with a joke will create comfort in some cases, will create discomfort in some cases. In Germany, you cannot start a presentation with a joke. What creates rapport is again very different. For example, when I went to US the first time, I'm going to give you a lot of examples here. When I went to US for the first time, I'm a non-smoker, non-alcoholic person. But I did a lot of research on alcohols and how drinks are mixed. And I built up a lot of knowledge on it. So the first party was thrown by my client, Citibank USA, New York, right? Wall Street. I came for the party, and my boss was very uncomfortable because he's also a non-alcoholic. He was very worried whether customers will ask him to drink. I told him, don't be worried, they won't force. You can always move on with a soft drink and move on. He said, no, just to be sure, I'll carry some liquor in my hand, but I'll act as if I'm drinking. I said, why do all this? But I took a completely different turn. When I went for the party, I went behind the counter and I started mixing drinks for the customer. Oh, they said, wow, you know how to mix drinks? I said, you just let me know what you need. I'll mix it for you. So I think different cultures connect differently. So please spend time, do research on your customer, do research on your stakeholder. I'm sorry, I'm dumping you with lots of examples. You can easily figure out in 5 minutes of conversation with somebody what makes them comfortable, what makes them uncomfortable. And keep that data with you. Abhinav asked a question, how do I comfort with, say, a senior person? Observe the senior for a while. What does he talk voluntarily? What does he talk very often about? What excites that person? Observe. In fact, coffee room, wherever you meet the person. For example, you will find the person talk a lot about books very often. Then you know that books create comfort for the person, energy for the person. Or the person talks about his daughter very often. He says, my daughter is very young and she's an amazing dancer. So you know that daughter is an energy point for the person. So when you meet him and you just ask one question, how is your daughter's dance coming along? You created the comfort. Done. Suppose he has told you he hates to read a book. And you go to his room and ask him, have you read Robin Sharma's book? You have just broken the comfort. That's it. So understand the energy source of people. And when you understand the energy source of people, and when you align with that energy source, you're creating comfort, you're creating rapport. And this changes from customers to customers. This changes from person to person. Doing research is important. Right. Now, I call it top 5 bombs. It's like atom bomb, you know. These bombs destroy comfort, rapport, and everything. So I would want you to avoid these atom bombs. Is that fine? Proceed. First point. Elevating oneself rather than elevating the other person. This is a dangerous atom bomb. People talk about what they have done, then talk about what others have done. Elevate the other person. Your job is very tough. When you tell the other person your job is very tough, you're elevating that person. In fact, in families, I've seen people making the children feel very uncomfortable. You know? They tell the child, you should feel proud you are in this family. Horrible, no? Instead of telling the child, you should be proud to be in the family, you tell the child, we are proud to have you in the family. I think there's a world of difference. So first step, elevating oneself at every time. Don't elevate yourself, elevate the other person. Second, winning in every situation, not necessary. In fact, sometimes losing is actually winning. I've seen people who want to win every argument. They want to have the last word. Now, all of this will be expanded in a lot more details in the next session. I am just introducing them to you now. Is that fine? So that you can think about it during the week. And during the week, our Telegram interaction is going to be a little intense. I would want all of you to participate actively during the week in the Telegram interaction. Is that fine? Please.
Yes.
I am just introducing these concepts to you today. You don't have to win every time. Win where it matters. Like in yesterday's IPL match, Kohli playing a second fiddle to his partner, who is relatively junior, and made sure his partner scored a century. And I'm sure he has won the trust of that player, right? By doing this. So you don't have to win every time. Win where it matters. Let other people win, no? You are world number one. So Vishwanathan Anand said, yes, let me play. He played, and 15 moves, Vishwanathan Anand lost the game. And quite deliberately, he lost the game. And that 8-year-old is thrilled. I beat Anand, I beat Anand, I beat Anand. He goes and tells the whole school, he goes and tells everybody. And somebody asked Anand, hey, why did you lose deliberately? He said, I lost this game and I won a chess player for India. I don't think his world number one will go away if he loses to this child there. Come on, give me a break. Some people are so competitive, they want to win every small thing. This one attitude breaks the relationships. Third, adding 2 cents always. When there is a discussion, there is an urge in each of us to keep on sharing what we know. I want to add my 2 cents. I want to add my 2 cents. Like a child at home comes and tells, Dad, I'm going for a party. Okay, have fun. Leave it, no. No, we'll have to give 2-3 advices. Why? What? Anyway, he's not going to listen. Whether people ask us for our opinion or not, we always want to give opinion. So adding 2 cents, advices, criticism, comments, they have destroyed rapport, they have destroyed connect. Fourth, being right than being appropriate. This one thing has killed relationships. You may be right, doesn't matter, but if you're not appropriate, wasted. For example, there is an apartment complex in Bangalore, around 5560. It is an old people's apartment complex. Okay, and everybody is shit scared about coronavirus. A couple of deaths have already happened about corona. And the apartment complex have a WhatsApp group of all the residents. Okay. Here is a guy who's a youthful guy. He posted a video about how horrible the situation in Bangalore. He's right, but I don't think he's appropriate. Because I think this will only increase the fear of the people, right? They're already scared here. So I've seen people who are right, but they want to be right. But please don't think I'm suggesting that you should tell lies. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it's important to be appropriate. Is it right to say this now? What feelings will it create in other person? It's more important to be appropriate than to be right. Last breaker of presence is insincerity. You're saying something for the sake of it. Like you ask somebody, how are you doing today? And then you move off immediately. You have asked somebody, how are you doing today? You are not even there to listen to the answer. So insincerity, saying something just for the sake of it. Oh, you're wearing a lovely dress today. They know you don't mean it. So being insincere about something. So if you have a compliment to give, make it very, very genuine. It should come from your heart. So these 5, if you eliminate, then you are on the road to starting to build presence. Is it okay? Of course, there are a lot of things you need to do right to be able to be there. But I am consciously eliminating things that can actually break you from there. Is that fine? So whether it is presence within the house or whether it's presence in the organization, it's all the same. At the end of the day, do you have presence? I think that's a question that we need to ask. I'm stopping the share here. The interaction in Telegram channel following this session, because we have 3 more minutes left, is important. Based on what you heard, based on what you saw, it's possible that lots of questions are raising in your mind. And I want you to post them there. And don't expect only me to answer. Any of you can answer that question also. There are no right answers or wrong answers. There are only perspectives. For example, if say Anisha posts a question, it's not necessary that only I should answer. You say Shipra is there in the group, Prakash is there in the group, Abhinav is there in the group, Alina is there in the group. Many of you can pick the thread and share your perspective to it. It has to be a highly engaging 1 week for us in the Telegram group. Is it okay? Can I assume that? Yeah. Please don't.
Sure, Ranga. I think that's what also I will urge to all the group members that Ranga sir has given us an elite opportunity that despite these sessions, he is actively connected with us on the Telegram group, and we have 1 more week to have deep minds, and we can share our perspective without being afraid about our whether right or wrong.
Absolutely. I'm sure you must have heard of this, no? Sabse bada rog. People worried about what others will say, right? So we're not worried about others. They always say when you want to grow, you have to be shameless and selfish. So post your questions, post your answers, share your perspectives. The more we discuss and debate, the better it will be. Right? And what's in store for next week's session is a whole lot of small techniques. Is that fine? Techniques are important because techniques can be practiced and converted to a skill. And the moment it's a skill, then you become competent. Some people get leadership by position. Very, very few people get leadership by competence. In today's politics, it's enough if you are the son of a leader. By default, you are a leader. Competence is not a question there. But that is not the kind of leadership we are talking about here. We are talking about leadership by competence. So feel free, interact with the group. We meet again next Friday. And next Friday, we discuss a lot on techniques. Is that fine? And the whole lot, these 2 sessions are just 2 of the sessions. There will be a lot that we will have an opportunity to interact with. You all have the great advantage of age on your side. And from your videos, I could make out you have brilliant ideas, absolutely brilliant ideas. And it's important that these ideas are brought to shape where we become a global force. Okay, let us not think small. Last, I'll just give an example. A friend of mine is in Chennai. He runs a small automotive parts manufacturing company. He went to China on a visit. He saw a factory being built. And he asked, what's the capacity? They said, we can produce 1 million parts per day. He said, 1 million parts per day? Do you have orders? He said, we will get it. The world is our market. So when he's building a factory itself, he's thinking of producing 1 million parts per day. So please don't think small. I think when you think, the more larger we think, I think there's a higher chance that we actually become a global force. And please don't think low of yourself. Not go there. So with this, let me close today's session and we start continuing our interaction with Telegram group. Is it okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, I want a quick feedback, maybe about 1 minute feedback. Maybe 1 word each of you can share in terms of how you felt about today's session. This will help me in structuring the next session. Quickly.
Yeah, I think the session was excellent, and so everybody is in that presence zone. So and suddenly we realize it is 12:30 and time to say bye. So I think everybody is settling down with that. Yeah, I think that's the thing. Yeah.
Very engaging, very insightful. Enjoyed it.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
It was a really good session. I specifically enjoyed the binding glues. The 4 binding glues you have said that were really good.
How do you pronounce yourself?
Sunny, Giravada Sunny. Yeah. Sunny.
Anyone else?
Sir, it was, it really made us think on a lot of levels. There were a lot of intriguing points where, we actually need to think about. And one important thing was, what kind of mindset each one of us has for our future or for our growth or for the situation that we are in. So,
wonderful. Thanks. Thanks, everyone. Yeah, please carry on.
Yes, sir, it was very insightful, and the points that you told us, like avoiding the things or the things that are binding glues, so it got into thinking about ourselves, like how do we behave, what our mindset is. So we've now starting thinking more about ourselves, like
exactly. Leadership is more about oneself than about others. Okay. So I'm glad if you started thinking about yourself. I think you made a great beginning. So, anybody else? Lot of ideas.
The session was quite relatable.
Okay.
Sorry, Sachi.
No. Sir, I just want to say the session was really interactive, and it got us into self-introspecting ourselves and others, and got a deep understanding of how we can go about when we move ahead from this session, how we can actually interaction with others as well.
Wonderful. Thanks. Thanks a lot. Great. Have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy yourself. So in Bangalore, we are having weekend curfew. So all the best. Stay safe, guys.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks for coming. Thanks, Abhinav. Thanks for coming. Thanks, Trustee.
Thank you.